How's it going, everybody? Today we are talking about some Dragon Ball. It's been a while since we talked about this game. It's been through a lot of changes since I played, competitively, and I still don't play competitively. I've been keeping an eye on the regional finals. EU and NA had theirs already. Japan's this weekend. And the EU teams, man, the EU teams got me interested. I watched the NA finals too, and NA versus EU, and the star of the show, Yasha. This team is insane. I think it's the best team in the game. For someone who has played competitively and was a world-class player at one point, this team is nuts to me, right? So I'm going to talk about the team as a whole. I'm not going to talk about too much about like the individual characters, right? Like, I'm not going to talk about like Gogeta and Vegito like individually, but like how they feel together as a team and why this team is so OD. And why it seems to fall in line with other teams that have existed in the game. So a couple parts to it, right? How is the team structured? So you have Gogeta, Vegito, 17. All A assists. You could put 17 middle. I tried 17 middle for a little bit, but for the most part, this is usually the order. This is the order that Yasha plays too. So we'll stick with this order for now. So let's start with Gogeta, right? Gogeta is the point. And one of the big things with him is that, of course, he has a rocket. He has really good normals. His pressure's pretty good. And he has, 17 assists, has block stun to it. So it allows him to set up certain things like, let me just put him on block. So you can do stuff like this, right? And then call 17. They got like an air dash, right? Get air dash mix. You can fake it, right? You can call 17 in DR. So his pressure game is pretty good. Obviously, Gogeta Blue has, lacking in frame data. His frame data is not very good. So once he runs out of assists, it's not very good for him. But his pressure is really good with these assists. And the big thing, right, which is a huge factor in this team, especially when you have from the point war, is that both 17 and Vegito are huge defensive assists. They are probably some of the best defenses in the game. And this is a staple in a lot of top tier teams throughout the game's history. You think about SSJ Vegeta, you think about GT. I mean, not a defensive assist, but like, it locks you down, right? In GT's case, you think about Roshi, you think about UIA. Those assists are pretty prevalent in a lot of top tier teams, right? And Vegito is extremely good based on the angle he comes out, and sometimes depending if you put them in block stun, right? So if I did something like this, right? Oops. And I call Vegito, Vegito will cover me. I get the hit, and the hit stun is extremely high on that assist, which means I can convert very easily, right? So, right, I get a full combo. Same thing with 17, right? 17 also is a very good defensive assist as well. Of course, in that case, not great. But if I were to call him like, let's say if I were to call him like preemptively, it does take a certain amount of hits, and because it is a barrier itself, right? So if I did this, right? Because it has that barrier effect, obviously not as strong as something like Roshi, but it has its uses, right? Nothing is ever going to be as strong as Roshi UIA, but it is a very, very good substitute, and the block stun is also very high. And on hit, gives you a really good bounce. Let me set him to not guard that. And because of Gogeta normals, right, you just 2M, you get a full combo, right? So Gogeta point, a lot of good pressure, and with those two assists behind him, makes it very, very hard to get in on Gogeta. Because he's being backed up by some of the two best defensive assists in the game. Especially the Vegito, man. The Vegito assist is incredibly good. It's good for neutral. It could be used for pressure. It is definitely the essence of SSJ Vegeta A if you've played the game since the very beginning, when there was no multiple assists, and that assist was the best of all time. That assist was insane. This is kind of like the next, I don't know, I felt not like predecessor, but I don't know what to say, but yeah, it's extremely good. I don't know why I can't think of the word after predecessor. Anyway, Let's talk about Vegito. Vegito, okay. So we'll talk about a few situations, right? In the situation where, let's say this would occur, right? Let's say you have all your characters, right? Gogeta wins the point war. You have Vegito in. So what makes Vegito good, right? So usually you would end combos, right? And bring in Vegito. And we'll talk about how you end combos with this team, which is one of the big aspects of why this team is so cheap. With Vegito, right, he has incredible neutral. This move as a special move is already super good. Right? You've seen it many times. The Banshee or Shotgun, whatever you want to call it, is an incredibly good move. He has access to 5M, which basically goes half screen. Very similar to Gogeta 2M, right? Get nice combos. Right? Very easy. Hot damage. He has esports kicks, right? Very, very high damage. He also has this, which is essentially an anti-air, and at any point in time, it's very low recovery. So you just kind of throw it out. So you have to be constantly worried about you getting tossed mid-air. So it makes the air neutral for him very, very good. His buttons in the air are also pretty good. He has 2S, he has jump S, right? His neutral is extremely good, right? It's pretty obvious his neutral is insanely good. The other big thing, right, is that because his best starters are also extremely far, like a 5M, like an EX kick, this means his damage is also incredibly high. He has incredibly high damage. And especially in a situation where you kill their point character and only have 1 assist, on top of Banshee being able to control the neutral, if you touch them with this, like, they might just explode and die, right? Like, if you have the combos for Vegito, you pop a spark, they're down 2 characters, like, in the blink of an eye, right? Super quick, very, very good damage, very, very good neutral. On top of, you know, Gogeta A being a almost, or basically full screen, right? So if you get any sort of hit, you can just convert into Gogeta A. And like we talked about with Gogeta, right? Because his neutral or his buttons are so good, right? You get easy converts. Yeah, this character is insane, right? Let's talk about 17. 17 is the support of the team, right? His buttons aren't very good, if you haven't noticed, right? He has a couple buff buttons. I know 5M, I think, got buffed a little bit, so it's a little bit farther. But what does he fill in this role, right? He is, on top of support, he is also a meter monster. He builds extreme amount of bar. He has pretty good combos with some pretty good damage on top of it, with his level 3 being very, very high damage. His level 1 is also very good damage too. But mainly he's support, right? That barrier assist. You want, like, that's the big ticket, right? Is the barrier. But in terms of neutral, he's not that bad. Especially, like, let's say if you do have 17 up and maybe you lost Gogeta, but you still have Vegito assist, right? This is still very, very good for neutral and covering yourself. So to make up for his lack of, like, normals, right? His Ki Blast is also very good. Gets you nice converts. And like I said, this dude builds mad bar. Obviously with meter penalty, you're not going to build that much bar. But in the case of, like, let's say if I were to do something like this, you can build an insane amount of bar. This move especially, these air Ki Blasts, build almost a bar if you get all the hits. And his combos usually end up looking like this, right? And that was a super basic combo. I just built 3 bars, right? I built basically 3 bars off of that. His meter gain is insanely good. He has good knockdown, right? His pressure and his mix-ups are okay, right? It's not too crazy. But yeah, support role and builds a lot of bar. So let's go back to the beginning, right? So what is the main thing about this team besides the cohesiveness, right, and the defensive assists? And having 2 characters that can make you explode and have good neutral, right? In Gogeta and Vegito. The big thing about this team is it abuses the new mechanic extremely well. And I'm talking about this thing, right? The tag in off of any special move, right? This team uses it insanely well. They all can do it, right? Gogeta and Vegito can do it into combos, 17's a little bit different. So 17 usually, because he's the support, you want to do something like this, and then they get launched down, and you get to create some sort of pressure situation. So you get 17 out of there and bring in, you know, your stronger point character. But for Gogeta and Vegito, right, they can do something like this where... Well, let me do a little closer. I'm gonna do it in the corner so I can show you. How much damage it is. I know the Twim started, right? But this team, off of like any hit, you could create some insane damage and insane meter gain. And because, you know, it doesn't like use up your resource, right? You can obviously do level 1, level 2, right? Or level 1, level 1, level 1, right? And then you're back to your order, right? Of Gogeta in front, or Vegito in front, whatever you want to do. Let's say if Gogeta took damage, you want to bring in Vegito. So, and same thing with Vegito, right? Like Vegito can also do the same thing. Building an insane amount of damage and an insane amount of bar. This team abuses the new mechanic insanely well. They all have super good converts off of it. There's even stuff like this where you can do rejumps, like with Vegito, or with 17. Oh, not off of that, but you know, you get the idea, right? Like they like constantly synergize with each other extremely well, and you can just use this system mechanic to your advantage. Like at any point in time, you can always just switch in your next character and do mad damage or build mad bar. And because your supers do a lot of damage in general, it's just like you're doing like 6-7k off of like any hit, to be honest, as long as you have a little bit of bar. And even if you're not, right, you can just take the knockdown and just create pressure, right? Because a lot of the time their situation ends up being you put them in, you know, air DR, you get a knockdown, and you get to rerun your pressure. So this team is crazy. It is crazy, crazy good. If you don't believe me, go watch some Yasha, right? Like, he is definitely the person to watch for this team. Obviously, it's his team, but he converts off of things insanely well and maximizes the team's potential, especially on combos and damage. Like, he is like, there's constant times where people are like, oh, they're not dead, and then Yasha finds a way to kill them, right? Like off of some obscure hit, like off of like some like max starter, he somehow is able to do like 6-7k. So yeah, this team is nuts, man. I've been having a lot of fun playing this team, to be honest, right? Gogeta's a lot of fun, and Vegito's a lot of fun too. And one big thing I like about the game that I feel like Vegito and 17 fix is the constant like chaotic nature of the game. Because Roshi and UIA are gone, there's definitely a lack of defensive assists, and both Vegito and 17, of course, like I mentioned before, are defensive style assists. So it's very good, right? If they're pressuring me, I can call Vegito and get a full combo. You know, I like that. I like to be able to control the chaos of the game, and this team definitely does it for you. So if you're like me and miss Roshi B or UIA, this might be a team you want to look at. At worst, definitely check out Vegito, right? Vegito is one of the best characters in the game, and maybe try out 17. 17 is sick, yo. You don't have to use Gogeta Blue, but this team works a lot well with Gogeta Blue. Just off of stuff like this, where you can get an ender, do air big bang, and both 17 and Vegito DXCs both hit, right? You get mad damage. You know, I can rant about this team forever. His team is crazy. But that's it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and please go check out some Yasha if you want to see more about the team. I'm probably gonna upload some games of my own if you want to see some lower caliber play with this team, but you're interested how I play the team. Be on the lookout for that. I'll definitely upload some matches soon. Take it easy. I'll see you in the next one.
この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。